Welcome, everybody. I'm very excited for today's topic. It's the end of the year, the last month, and we're talking about family bicycle, how to nurture relationships. It's the Christmas or holiday season in many countries, just about to start, and normally families get together. We see the close ones, the beloved ones we haven't seen for some time. The family gatherings, although they can be fun and nurturing, sometimes bring that sense of tension, and sometimes those family dinners open up the Pandora box, or we have to face that family member whom we may not be excited to face, or have all those anticipation, expectation. And how do we deal with tough relationships? How do we deal also with our own family members who we have, and how do we create a healthy holiday season, happy feelings, and move into more nurturing environment within. December is a great month. We just discussed as we are turning inwards. There's a lot of winter months if you're in the northern hemisphere, where the days are short and the nights are long. There's a lack of sunlight, but there's always this sort of feeling of hibernation or feeling of relaxation and wanting to sleep more and go a bit slower, go a little bit inwards. And that's a great time to look at what I call a family bicycle. Now, let's look into this concept, what it means, why it's so important, and how can we ride a bicycle of our family and have that life as a path, as a road, and have healthy family nurturing relationships. So I'm holding my book on page 38, and it actually visualizes a bicycle with two wheels, and each wheel represents, in a way, like a mandala or a wheel of life for each parent. Let's assume it's a traditional family with two parents and children. It can be also for one. It can be monocycle. It can be multiple partners. It could be a fusion, a mixed family with different partners and parents. It's okay. But as a metaphor, what it means is that a family bicycle always relies on the wheels of a parent. Okay, children, the health of children, mental, physical, emotional health rely on the health of their parent. Up until they're 25, their prefrontal cortex is still developing. Their emotional stability very much depends on the stability of their parents. So how do we make sure that these wheels of this bicycle are healthy? And if we look at each wheel, they have different sides, let's say, to it, or different sections. So as part of our multifaceted life, we have physical, of course, body. We have emotional body, let's say, mental body, and spiritual body, just as a simple layer. So, of course, each of these have their own objectives, their own challenges, their own values, principles. How do we make sure that we cater and we look after each of those, not just for ourselves, but also for our partner? What we do as a family, and we started this tradition a long time ago. Actually, we took the inspiration from a corporate tradition. Every year, as a team, as a family, in the business that I worked in, we would gather and we would discuss our goals, our strategies, and our measures, our objectives. What kind of things we wanted to achieve as a team? What kind of measures would we put to those objectives? What kind of strategies do we need to start doing like actions to achieve those objectives. And making these plans on a yearly basis, especially as the last months of the year, to prepare for the new year, to set those expectations for the next year, but also planning, routines. It's very important to make sure that we know what we're doing. If we have other people who rely on us to set or to pave the way, to set the tone, and to make sure our wheels are healthy so that we can ride that bicycle nicely. As a family, we also get together first, me and my partner, end of the year, last week of December, and we review, we call OGSM document, objectives, goals, strategies and measures, OGSM. And it's a simple document. You can create it in Word or PowerPoint, doesn't matter. You can even write it on a piece of paper. And I'm going to tell you the secret ingredients of it. I hope you have a piece of paper and a pen, because it's very important. And most families don't do that. And of course, you see, in business, whatever we measure, we move towards. You see, that's how our brain works. When we start putting objectives and quantifiable measurement points, we get closer to those objectives. We have a very powerful part of our brain, especially the left part of our hemisphere, that helps us achieve those goals. The same happens for the family. So, for example, that last week of December, we opened the document. The beginning is always, we call it the mission or the purpose of our family. What do we want to stand for? When we die, what kind of legacy do we want to leave as a family, as a couple? What kind of children do we want to raise, and their qualities? And what are the values that we hold as a family, as a unit, as a couple, that drive our decisions? Having a discussion about these, first of all, big picture, sort of like big blocks as purpose, mission. I always wanted to have a big family, but I had to negotiate with my partner, and he wanted to have a small family. Now, what kind of mission do we want? Is to be, for example, a happy, a healthy family. This kind of ambition. It could be a family number of members, if that's important. If not, it could be the quality, the characteristics of values that is important. For example, a loving family, or connected, or loyal, or fun. What are the things that you value, that you want to put in your mission, that support you individually, together as a couple, but also as a family together? These are the humans that are going to be part of your family clan, maybe even pets, or who are your system members. Having that vision and aligning. The vision needs to be inspiring. It needs to be so long term that even 50 years from now, you'd be like, wow, I really would love that kind of family. And sometimes people say, oh, I don't know. What kind of purpose do I have? What kind of mission do I have? As a family, do I want to make an impact on other families? Or do I want to make impact on just my family, on my members? Do I want to create an environment that's nurturing, that is inspiring, that's motivating, that supports the talents of each, or for them to become fully human, or better humans, better than us, or better than previous generation, maybe, or just tap into our potential, or be the best we can be, or support interests, or maybe create a stable, safe family, or maybe something that of high importance, creating an innovation as a family, so we can leave this world in a better state. Or it could be contribution. We want to help others. We want to make sure that maybe it's a spiritual purpose that is God related or divine something, right? So it becomes a conscious exercise of becoming aware of my family purpose, my couple mission. Yeah, it's a very interesting exercise just to sit together, talk about it, contemplate, maybe do some visioning. Some people do like a collage of visuals they get from the journals, the magazines, put together what they would love for their family, how they would like to feel inside their family, what kind of things inspires and motivates them and drives them, what kind of things makes them feel joyful. So that's the big umbrella we first decided on. And then you have three big rows, those lines on the document: long-term, mid-term, and short-term. And these are objectives that flow out of the purpose, out of that mission, the big mission. The first, we put long-term goals. 50 years from now, or 40 years, I don't know how old you are as you're listening to this workshop. What would you like to have achieved if everything was possible? If you had a very healthy bicycle for your family, with all your children included, or just your partner, or even yourself, what would you like to have achieved? And you put different parts, as I said, physically, emotionally, mentally, spiritually. For example, physically, we talk about the body, what kind of weight or what kind of strength, what kind of body mass index I would like to have. What kind of do I want to have a toned body in 50 years from now? Do I want to have you see, the brain needs clarity in order to make things happen. And it's good to dream about it first, because everything that we do, we first dream about. If you want to build a bridge, you need to dream about it and think about it, create it in your mind first, and then make it happen. The same happens with the family. Long term. Okay, physically, I want to have this kind of body. I would like to feel emotionally these kind of emotions. Do I want to feel more satisfied or blissed or happy or relaxed or excited? What kind of feelings do I want to experience in 50 years from now as a family when we gather? Then mentally, what kind of things would I like to have achieved? Maybe have done the courses or learn something or have this kind of job. Maybe mentally, I would like to learn a different language in 50 years' time, or be, I don't know, a professor or an expert in something that I'm really excited about. And spiritually, where would I like to be? What kind of practice would I like to do? Would I like to meditate on a daily basis? Would I like to go into retreats? Would I like to have a spiritual practice, spiritual leader, a spiritual community? Okay, so making things quite tangible in those blocks, even long-term, understanding 40, 50 years from now, what kind of things do I want? Then midterm, 5 to 10 years from now, what are my goals? Again, for the body, and they're connected to the long term, but now we are getting closer to reality, because 5 and 10 years from now, this is super, super tangible and close. And again, they're connected, but they need to be specific. For example, okay, maybe my ambitions are not as large as in 50 years time. I can dream of like reading 100 books or 5 books every year, which 200 2,000 books, doesn't matter. But as I'm moving towards more a reality check, I want to make sure it's clear what it means. If I put that number what does it mean in terms of midterm and short term? How many books do I need to read? Or what kind of things do I need to do in order to fuel my bicycle to achieve that goal, right? What does it mean to have a healthy body? Do I need to start exercising more often? Do I need to sign up into a gym, or what kind of practice do I need to pick up? Maybe learn a new sport or go back to a sport that really makes me feel joyful, because healthy body, longer life. We know that longevity depends on also physicality. If I'm obese and overweight, then my lifespan reflects that accordingly. We know that from the research. My hormones, all my body systems reflect health and longevity, right? So if I want to live happy longer, then I need to look after my body first. Then, of course, I need to look after my emotions. How to have great emotions is to have also good relationship, learn communication tools, learn the things like you're doing now. Seminars, workshops, retreats, books, connecting to the right people, getting inside the right circles, connecting with people who inspire. Who are your friends? How do you make friends? Where do you make friends? All these, they could be also part of the family plan. For example, we write that we want to have 5 inspiring people, at least 5 inspiring people around us. And we make connections and we invite people, families who we feel inspired by, into our home. So our children also mingle with them. We connect and we have that mental stimulation that we like, instead of spending time with people we don't feel connected to. You see, it's all becoming more and more conscious, more and more aware as a decision. Spiritually, what kind of things that make me feel deeply spiritually fulfilled? Do I have a religion? Do I have a faith? Do I feel happy where I am? Do I want to dial it up, dial it down, change? Well, these are conversations as a family. For example, some family members are from different religions. This becomes even more potent and important topic for discussion. How do we make sure we find compromise? We find that balance. What kind of faith and religion our children want and we want for them? And making a decision now, what time and what age to baptize, or do we go to this church or this faith? Do we make choices, or do we allow our children to make choices when they grow up? And facing these kind of tough topics is a very courageous act. Sometimes it's scary. Sometimes we don't even know, we never consider this kind of conversations to have in the family, because life is so busy and so logistically driven, and we have our own things individually. But what's important for the health of each member, to understand their needs, to have the discussion, to have those family meetings, and have a big revision of this document, not just once a year. Then we sit down, once we create it, every quarter, and we review it. Also, especially finances. Finances is one of the topics that makes or breaks the relationships these days, because these are the resources that fuel, that support the family. And when we're not careful, if it's too little or too much, there's always some sort of debate, quarrel, or discussion about it. But it's better to be preventative discussion rather than when it's already too late and it's a problem. So discussing what kind of principles, which bank accounts, what kind of arrangements, who is responsible for what kind of priorities, of the actions and activities we prioritize as a family, extracurriculums, trips, or hobbies. Who is a priority? Whose needs are a priority? It's also important. We cannot say everybody is a priority, because it's not true. It's not realistic. Once we look at each family member's needs, we realize that at certain times of our life, certain family members have different priorities. For example, We know that when we have a little baby, her needs are a priority. If her needs are not met, mama is not happy, and then everybody is not happy, for example. Or somebody gets sick, or somebody is very old and they need care, there become a priority. Okay, so urgent and important matters, they suddenly get boosted in the priority hierarchy, and then become focus of attention also for this OGSM plan, the objectives, goals, measures, and strategies. So as we're talking about objectives, so the midterm, but then also the short term. The short term is up to 5 years. Up to 5 years is the immediate objectives. What do we want to do? Where do we want to live? How do we want to live? What kind of finances do we want to have? What kind of jobs? What kind of activities? What kind of a children priority? Is it you pretty much know the developmental stages of your children in the next 5 years, what they need, and adjust in the whole schedule, right? Adjust and make it that family bicycle work for you. It's very, very important. So this is a very simple but profound exercise that we do. And actually it helps us, it sustains us. Whenever we have arguments, whenever we have challenges and issues, we always go back, and when we review it, we actually get surprised every year how much we achieve. Even sometimes we forget where we put the previous year. When we review it, we get surprised how much we achieve it, because we put that as at the back of our mind as a back burner, and the mind does the thing. I mean, it finds ways to achieve what we want. In most cases, if we are just allowing ourselves to let it be, to find a way to make it happen, to follow that realistic plan. Hopefully it's realistic, because the objectives need to be smart. They need to be time bound. They need to be really, strategic, but they also need to be measurable. How do we know that we've achieved it? For example, we put, I don't know, how many trips per year we want to make, or how many times I would like to see our parents, or what kind of celebrations and holidays we would like to have. I have, for example, very, very silly practical things. For example, I like 3 holidays, and I told my husband, he comes from a different culture, so for him celebrations were different. And I said, look, for me, my birthday, Women's Day, and St. Valentine's Day are very important, and I would like you to bring flowers, make it a surprise, and ask our children to make a present for me. But I did that proactively, and he put it in his calendar, the reminders, and he knows that's important for me. I know for him it's not very important to celebrate his birthday, but I still make an effort a little bit because it's important for me. Although I know for him other things are important. For example, Names Day in Greece, they celebrate, and we never celebrated that in England. So when we came, I had to learn the new system. It's not just the birthday, but a name day of a saint that is celebrated twice, and we have godchildren, and there's a lot of presents involved, and visiting and thinking proactively, planning. So that's a different kind of focus. And having these adjustments, having these conversations, having these nuances, and it's all about learning how to ride. Remember when you first learned how to ride a bicycle? It's a matter of finding that balance. And once you know it, you cannot unlearn it. Once you know how to ride the bicycles, you get hold of it like pretty much quickly the next time you sit on it. The same with this kind of plan. Once you do it, you already know it. And then it's just a little bit of readjustment, a little bit of nuancing of, okay, maybe we changed the plan because I've changed my career, or I've changed my job, or I've changed the location, or my child did this, and they've chosen a different kind of route or hobby or whatever. So all of that is just a matter of tactical adjustment. But the big job, you could start doing it individually, but it's so much more fun to do it as a family and include other family members, even from different generations, and to share that, because it becomes part of like a fabric of life, that you become strategic about your life, because yeah, our days are limited. We're all gonna die, that's for sure, but we can die thinking about our life strategically and then making things happen that we would like. And of course, there's a big chunk of it is unknown, we cannot control. We need to also make sure that, okay, we aim high, but you aim for the stars, you reach some, maybe a top of the tree. But if you don't reach for the stars, maybe you never reach the top of the tree. And it's okay. For some people, it is okay to just flow, or just follow the flow. But the flow, as we know from the research, is much better and much more enjoyable once it's becoming an aware flow, a woke flow. So it's good to have a balance of strategic thinking and keep it a bit of chance and a bit of chaos, a bit of spontaneity involved. So of course, as we put our realistic goals, we need to be a little bit more loose on some, and pick the battles, pick the hierarchy. If something is very important, we choose that, but it's something we can drop, no problem. Okay, so that is in brief an exercise on the family bicycle. I hope it's helpful, and as you do it, you will learn this strategies, so long-term, mid-term, and short-term. Yes, and also the measures, right? And the measures are something that is very quantifiable, very tangible, time-bound on each of those levels. So even spiritual, how many times per month do you want to go to church, for example? Or what does it mean for you to have a spiritual practice? Does it mean to meditate 5 minutes a day or 1 hour? Does it mean you have a peace in your heart? How would you know you have a peace in your heart? Does it mean that you argue less, or does it mean you feel less angry? Does it mean you work for do community service, or you do some philanthropy work? What does it mean? You see, all of these as little goals, they can be explored further to find the little chunk blocks, chunk pieces, and the more quantifiable it is, the better, because then you check in yourself, is it something that you can do? Is it something that you want to do? What does it mean short term, if you want to reach that long-term goal? Because the worst thing that happens is when people reach their old age and they look back at their life and they say, oh, I wish I have done that. I wish I did this. I wish I had better relationship. I wish I changed my career. I wish I picked up this hobby. Why didn't I do it? It's because it was not strategic, because it was not 50 years ago or 30 years ago or 5 years ago. It was not part of the plan. And most people don't have plans for their family. So I'm inviting you to be a little pioneer of the OGSM family bicycle creation. Create your own bicycle so you can enjoy riding the path of life. Off you go.